Good evening. We begin tonight with breaking news. The Palisades fire has flared up in Los Angeles.
As crews try to contain those massive Los Angeles wildfires, new popping up.
It's shocking video showing the absolute devastation in the Pacific Palisades. The footage reveals mile after mile of scorched earth where beautiful homes once existed.
Los Angeles, the city of angels.
I was down there in Los Angeles about a year and a half ago, living in my van. I had converted a 2012 Dodge Grand Caravan into a little camper van because I was tired of my job working for the Oregon State Legislature. It was a temporary position in the first place anyways, and I was just basically met with just like a very toxic work environment. So I decided to leave. I went down to California for a couple of months to try finding work, and I was living out of my van throughout that time. And so I got to get really familiar with Los Angeles, particularly the parts of Los Angeles that has trees, because so much of the city actually has no trees whatsoever, which is like very bad. And that shows that like during heat domes, like it makes the neighborhood way more hot than compared to streets that have trees. And the streets that have trees tend to be in wealthy, affluent neighborhoods because they're the ones who plant the trees or who maintain the trees. But, you know, again, that's kind of like another topic that maybe we could explore. But I really wanted to like actually go back to the whole thing about the landscape. Like I remember going to Malibu, and I was like caught up in congestion. I was going through Agoura Hills, Calabasas, and all of that I drove through, all of that I saw is now completely burned to the ground. I had this unsettling feeling in my stomach and in my general vibe, I guess, because not only was my life kind of uprooted and shit, but I felt like shit. Like a lot of this stuff may not be here, not squarely on Los Angeles. I felt this way when I was driving through, you know, Wyoming. I felt this way when I was in Texas. I felt this way when I was in Minnesota. I'm like, we're not like, because the summer I was there, it was so fucking hot. Like it would be in the high 90s most of the days, and I was trying to like stay cool, and the only places that you could stay cool is either in a like you find a place that's possible for you to park your car underneath a tree, which is very difficult, or you're at the beach that you have to pay for parking in. I realized like how fleeting everything is and how temporary things are and how like systematically fucked everything is. I bring this up in reference to the Los Angeles wildfires because it hurts me because that Los Angeles is like this, because Los Angeles is a heritage city of the United States, and it's one that I've been loving and romanticizing ever since I was a little child. And to see it go through such devastation and suffering, and I know a lot of people may not have as much empathy and sympathy for it because it appears that only these ginormous mansions, $1.2 million bungalow houses are the only ones being consumed. But whether or not you're a millionaire, billionaire, like that's still your home. Like to lose your home, that's a horrible thing. Also, it's just not that black and white. As I've been through LA, even in a lot of these affluent areas, like there are mixed housing. Like there's not just the super wealthy. And then also if you think about how many homeless people in LA there are, all spread out, you know, I think at the time of me recording this, the death toll is like 10 people, most likely more. And I think a lot of it will probably be I think homeless people will be overrepresented in the death toll. I know not that many homeless people on average live in this part of LA. However, you know, they're spread out wherever they can be because of just how disproportionate California is in US homeless. I think California holds 40, 50%. I'm not even feeling like I'm exaggerating here. I can't remember exactly, but around 40, 50% of the nation's homeless population lives in California. And that's not saying that these are native Californians, these are transplants, a lot of them. The cost of living has just soared. Like, it's not even like above the roof. It's like in the clouds, going up to outer space. Like, that's how expensive everything is. I tried finding work in those 2 months that I was there, and I was just really unsuccessful and looking at potential housing apartments because I wasn't wanting to stay in my van the entirety of me being there. I was like, okay, you'll make this living arrangement here in your van. You tricked it out as best you could with what you could afford, and you'll give yourself a few months to like try finding work and then getting a paycheck and then eventually being able to afford an apartment. But even had I gotten that job, it would have taken months till I would have been able to afford an apartment. It's really sad seeing the destruction. I hope that we can learn from this, not to kind of like dismiss what people are experiencing right now, but I hope that this allows new infrastructure initiatives to take hold, which can also help remedy the horrific homeless crisis in LA and the horrific affordability crisis in LA. I really hope that they can do something that not only allows the people who've been displaced by the fires, who's lost their homes and everything, to rebuild, but to rebuild in a way that's actually going to build up LA and improve the overall quality of living there. If they don't do it, then nothing has been learned, and the systems are still going to completely fail. LA is hosting the 2028 Summer Olympics. That's just 3 years away. They've already started the programming committee has already started. Like, they're already doing stuff. And now to see like beautiful and glamorous and affluent part of the city completely destroyed, like it looks like a war zone. A lot of people have been using the word apocalyptic on the news, and it's yeah, it is. That's very appropriate for the situation. Los Angeles has a lot to do, a lot to rebuild, and I really hope that we'll come together and we'll be able to support Angelenos in ways that it doesn't look like the incoming president will have the appetite for. I'm very proud that my home state of Oregon has sent 60 fire trucks and over 240 firefighters. I believe all of them are volunteers, or a great majority of them are volunteers. We got to look after each other. Fire is a huge threat to the western states, particularly where I'm from. I come from Corvallis, Oregon, which is beautiful, and it's surrounded by forests, trees, fields. But I remember around 2015, 2016, there was a brush fire that burned 600 acres, and I had to evacuate from my house. Unfortunately, the house didn't burn down, but forest fires is very real. It's a really real threat, and I know that when I want to move back to the United States, it's going to be Portland, and I'm going to want to live kind of away from the city, but close enough. And am I even going to be able to not only afford to build myself a home, am I going to be able to afford the insurance, if I'm even able to get insurance? Because a lot of people in places like California and Florida are losing access to insurance because the places that they live have just become untenable in the insurance industry, and they're cutting their losses by dropping them. And State Farm, amongst a few others, I believe, in California, were already going to be dropping people this summer. And so these fires are just exacerbating pre-existing issues, and there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be able to take that risk when rebuilding, and just say, I think it's worth it, and I have the funds to rebuild if it comes to that. And then there's going to be people who don't have the options to leave, and they're going to have to either rebuild or live in less than ideal circumstances, living conditions, which is not fair. I know that there's going to be a lot of not refugees, but a lot of displaced people, and they're going to be coming to Oregon. I want them, like, come to Oregon. I want to be a place. I want Oregon to be a place where we welcome the weak, the impoverished, just everyone, everyone. But that's already going to hurt others. It's going to hurt Oregon, neighboring states like Arizona and Nevada, because we do not have the infrastructure already to handles those influx of people. I know a lot of people like to make fun about Californians and how they're just populating all over the place, but it's true. Oregon has a lot of California transplants. It has for over the past 50 years, and their coming to Oregon has made the cost of living more unattainable, which has led to the inability for me to afford to live there. But I see that as more of a planning failure, policy failure. Yeah, this is not going to end here. Not to mention that once the rain comes back to Los Angeles, there's going to be mudslides, and that's going to displace more people. That's going to cause a whole slew of other issues. The fires, though they're not out, this is just the first disaster of many disasters to come, and it's really upsetting that we won't have a commander-in-chief who's going to take it seriously, because he holds a personal grudge against a state that did not vote for him. Anyway, guys, I'm really curious if anyone has been affected by the Los Angeles wildfires, if you yourself live in LA, and what that experience has been like for you. My heart literally goes out to you. LA, despite all of its problems, is a wonderful city. I said it before earlier, it's a heritage city. It's the cultural epicenter of American culture. It's a city full of people wanting to make their dreams a reality. It's a beautiful city. It has its problems, yeah, but it's something that's worth fighting for. It's a place worth protecting, and it's definitely a place worth rebuilding. I just hope that we can take many lessons as we can about this. And honestly, this is not the first time a major city in the world has burnt half of it, a quarter of it burnt down. It's San Francisco, I think, in 1912, when they had the earthquake, which completely set ablaze and flattened the entire city of San Francisco. Had the Chicago fire, which I think was a calculator lamp and a kerosene lamp, and it caught on fire, and then the whole city. I think that's a kind of a tall tale, but maybe that's true. Anyway, Chicago, for example, burnt down. The city of London, where I live now, burnt down. It's not like we're dealing with a volcano like Pompeii was, because otherwise, cut your losses while you can. Anyway, guys, so I think I'm gonna leave that here. Thank you so much for watching. If you're a new subscriber, thank you so much for subscribing. If you are just now clicking on this video and you like what you saw here, I am Ricky. I'm a law student doing my master's in London, and I do political commentary on topic matters like this, and I also create a week-long vlog that I post every week. Hence the name, weekly vlog. I would appreciate you joining the community, and until then, peace and love. Bye.
Los Angeles, the city of angels, the land of gods and monsters, the in-between realm where only the choices made from your free will decide your soul's final fate. Some poets called it the entry.